No, I mean it. Where's Wilkins? I'm gone for a couple days and my valet is gone. I'm very suspicious. Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughn Manor. It's really stately around here, I swear. Anyway, welcome. Today, we are talking about Elric. Elric. Michael Moorcock's great fantasy character Elric and the Elric Saga. And my plans on reading the Elric Saga and how I'm going to go about doing it. Fortunately, nowadays, the Elric Saga is readily available in some very nice omnibus volumes. This set of books from Saga Press, they have all the Elric stories so far in these books. There's more Elric coming, but that's all the Elric that we have so far is available in these books from Saga Press. But wait, is that actually true? Well, not really. Because there is some Elric stuff that these books do not reprint. And so we're going to talk a bit about that. So the Elric Saga, written by Michael Moorcock. He's been writing these stories on and off for years and years. When I was growing up, the Elric Saga was mostly available in mass market paperbacks. Some really nice mass market paperbacks. And then he had a whole saga at the time in mass market paperback, and then he would write another book, and later on he'd write another book, and, it kind of went from there. The main Elric Saga you could find in these two books. Volume 1 of the Elric Saga, Elric of Melniboné, and Volume 2, Stormbringer. The novel Stormbringer, which is included in this book, is the end of the Elric Saga. And once you read that, you'd be like, well, what can come after this? More Elric books, of course. But those stories all take place earlier, either in sometime during Elric's career, or during Stormbringer or someplace like that. Like, we have this set of books. This is a trilogy that was written after the books that are included in the first two volumes. So this is the Elric Saga Volume 3, The White Wolf. This is very, very large. This has a trilogy of Elric stories that were written in the 2000s. And this set of books is part of the Elric Saga, but it's kind of separated in a weird way. And then we have this book, which came out fairly recently, The Citadel of Forgotten Myths, another novel in the Elric Saga. So far, all Elric mostly are in these. But it's not really all of Elric. There's more Elric that was written by Michael Moorcock that's not in the Saga Press volumes. All the important major stuff is in these volumes. And the easiest way to read the Elric Saga, and the way I would recommend a first-time reader reading Elric, would be to read these books in the order that they're presented in these volumes. Just start at Volume 1 and just go from there. If you're a new reader to Elric, that's the way to do it, I think, because these volumes present Elric's story in the chronological order of Elric's career and his adventures. And that works really well if you're a first-time reader. Not so, it's not like Conan, where it's fine where Conan's adventures jump around. And the Elric stories, it's more helpful to read them, I think, for the first time in the order that they're presented here, the chronological order, more or less. I mean, these first two volumes have the stories in chronological order. After that, after Stormbringer, everything has to happen before Stormbringer. So the easiest way would be to read these. But, like I said, these don't have everything. They have a lot of it. It has most of it. It has all the important stuff, probably. But there was another set of books that came out a while back that I've talked about before. And that's these Del Rey books, this Del Rey set of trade paperbacks, beginning with this one, The Stealer of Souls. So this is Chronicles of the Last Emperor of Melniboné, Volume 1. This ran 6 volumes, this Del Rey set. This Del Rey set, for a while, that's the way we read Elric. That's the only way it was printed for a while. But now we have this very nice new Saga Press set. But the difference with this is these volumes have all the stories that make up these first 2 volumes, but also some extra stuff and some extra stories that are not available in the Saga Press edition. Also, the way these volumes, the Del Rey volumes, present the stories, these present the stories in the order that Michael Moorcock wrote them, more or less. There are some exceptions in here, but all the major stories are presented in the order that Michael Moorcock wrote them, not in the order that they took place in Elric's adventures, in Elric's life. So for a first-time reader, this could be, I imagine, could be a little confusing if you were to read these this way, because you had a lot you would have to keep track of in your head as far as when the events in these books were taking place. For example, Stormbringer, which is the novel that pretty much closes out Elric's career. Stormbringer is the end. Anything that's written after Stormbringer has to take place before or during that novel, because that's pretty much the end of Elric. Stormbringer is in the very first volume of this set. So you get the end pretty close to the beginning. But Stormbringer was Michael Moorcock's first full-length novel, I believe. It was his first effort as a novel, I think, was Stormbringer. And so, of course, that's going to show up in the beginning of this, because that's when it was written. And all of this stuff takes place before that. So, you know, that could be confusing for a first-time reader. But the nice thing about this set, first of all, it does that, which I find interesting, because Michael Moorcock was writing these Elric stories and has been writing them. He's not finished writing them. He's still around, still writing. So he's been writing these for a long, long time, since the 60s. So for decades, he's been writing these, and his style has changed over the years. And so if you're reading them in chronological order, you'll notice some differences in style as you go along. That makes more sense when you read them this way, I would think. I think it would. And it's just interesting I think it would be interesting to experience the Elric stories as they were written, as they were released. So that's one interesting thing about this set of books. Also, this set, the Del Rey set, has a lot of extra material. It has stories like, I think, Elric at the End of Time. Was that the name of the story? That's available in this set of books, but not in the Saga Press, for whatever reason. So these books just have a lot of extra material. They have a lot of essays and things, a lot of illustrations. They have a lot of stuff about the creation of Elric, including a lot of illustrations. Like this is Science Fantasy magazine that had the original Elric stories in them when Elric first appeared. And there's just all kinds of extra stuff in here. Also, see if I could find an example. You know, when you look for illustrations, you know, you can never find them. Here's one. Yeah. So we've got Elric looking all moody and gloomy there. This has a lot of illustrations, this set of books. And so that's kind of a plus. A lot more than the Saga Press editions do. That's for sure. So that's nice as well. Not everybody likes the art in these volumes. The art in these volumes have been criticized, but I like it. I think it's kind of cool. And there are a lot of interesting things in this set of books, the Del Rey set of books. You know, you've got not just the stories themselves, but you also have some scripts. One of the books has an unused film script. There are scripts for graphic novels that feature Elric that were written by Michael Moorcock. Those are included in these volumes. So there's a lot of extra stuff in these volumes, including there are a couple novellas, I think, in this one, which are rewritten and added to, and later became this, which is the most recent book in the series. So if you're a completist and you want to read everything Elric, this is a good way to start. So the way I'm going to be reading Elric, I'm not going to go the easy route of just reading the Elric Saga by Saga Press. I'm going to be reading these books because they have all of those extras and all of the extra stories and essays and all of that. I'm going to start with these, which basically has everything that are in these first two volumes. So I'm going to not bother with these first two volumes of the Saga Press, but I will be reading this because these novels, this trilogy of novels, that's not, as far as I understand, in the Del Rey set. These are novels that came later. It is more or less a self-contained trilogy that's sort of separate and yet a part of the greater Elric Saga. So this I'm going to be reading, and then I'll be finishing up with this, the most recent book. Because even though this has a couple of things in it that are in the Del Rey set, they've been rewritten and added to and turned into this book, The Citadel of Forgotten Myths. And so far, as far as I'm aware, this is the most recent published Elric. That is going to change in the near future. There is more Elric coming, but for right now, that's where we're at. And I decided to get back to Elric as the next kind of major fantasy series that I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be revisiting a lot of classic fantasy that I enjoy so much. I've had such a good time with The Great Book of Amber and some other older fantasies that I've been reading that I thought, yeah, it's about time I revisit Elric finally, that I finally get back to Elric and read all of Elric, everything Elric. Unfortunately, these Del Rey books nowadays can be a little tough to get. You can still get them on eBay, but I'm not sure about the prices on these. They might be high. They might be high. I probably should have checked before I started filming, but yeah, you know how it goes. These, however, these books are readily available. So like I said, if you've never read Elric before, the Saga Press is probably the way to go, just because of the way it's presented and the fact that it does have everything important. And it even has this beautiful map reproduced on all of the volumes. So there's that. But that's not the way I'm going to do it. Because with Elric, at least, I'm going to be a completist. I'm going to read every scrap I can get my hands on, which is all right here. The complete Elric Saga with some extra stuff. And when am I going to get to it? That's a good question. I've got a lot on my plate, and I'm not the fastest reader in the world. But certainly after I finish this, as soon as I finish the next 3 books of this, the next major fantasy series I'm going to read is Elric. Because I miss Elric. You know, I miss him. Okay, guys, that's all I have to say today. I will catch you next time.